Thank you.
I'm really glad that Jordan said fucking before we came out, because we had a conversation before about whether or not it was okay to swear.
Oh, I didn't even notice that part because I feel like, oh no, don't like raise people's expectations. Like I want the bar to be as low as possible so you can impress and not be like, wow, this person's cool.
Well, I think we've actually got some great videos to sort of like showcase your general coolness. And the nice thing about this is like, usually when I sit on stage, I give a little bit of a preamble, sort of explain to the audience what this person does. But we've got some videos to do the heavy lifting here. So let's roll video number 1. And I think this will give you, for those of you in the audience who aren't super familiar with what it is Simone does, this is kind of the thing that you're known for. So what are we watching?
We are watching me in my old room on Valencia Street. I just programmed a robot arm to serve me breakfast. And it was kind of the shtick. Like I started making shitty robots and it kind of just grew on the internet, and Reddit took me under its wings in this very, very sweet way. And I have been a full-time inventor of more or less useless things for 4 years now.
Did you set out to make useful things and then they just didn't really work out as anticipated, or?
No, it was definitely, I planned exactly how I wanted things to go wrong. And it was mostly like, it was this backwards way of taking the pressure off of myself, because I really wanted to learn about electronics. I really wanted to learn about hardware and robotics. I didn't want to go back to school, and I'm also somebody who struggles a lot with performance anxiety. So I was like, how can I approach these really daunting topics without having my performance anxiety get in the way? And this almost like hack that I did on myself was like, I'm just going to build useless things that are funny. And it helped a lot because it was just like no pressure.
So I'm sensing a theme here, which is setting the bar as low as humanly possible when we first came out. And once people kind of know you for making things that are purposely malfunctioning, then like, what's the worst that can possibly happen? It will work as anticipated?
Yeah, no, it's really, to me it was, you kind of shift the definition of shitty though, like, because my definition of shitty wasn't something that didn't work very well. My definition of shitty became something that maybe wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be. But yeah, it's really like, I just wanted to create these environments where I could play and explore and be curious. And I think that goes for so many different contexts. And the way to do that, or like one approach, is to really lower the bar and be like, anything goes, you can do anything, everything is okay, and then you kind of can't fail.
So let's take the example of that first video then. Was that shitty the way that you expected it to be? Like how much wiggle room do you have in shittiness, as it were?
That's such a good question. How much wiggle room do you have
in
shittiness?
Did you, maybe a better way of like framing it is like, how choreographed was that specific video?
Oh, it's completely choreographed. I plan exactly how I want it to be shitty.
Okay.
Like it's very thought through shittiness. But that's also something I haven't. So the problem though was kind of that I was like, oh shit, I've like set out this, like people on the internet have started calling me the queen of shitty robots. Yeah. How do you branch out from that and kind of broaden what you do? And how do you do things that take themselves seriously when that's the platform and the messaging that you built?
So do you feel like you've kind of painted yourself into a corner by being the aforementioned queen of shitty robots?
I was worried about it at a point because I was like, I can't get out of this pigeonhole, or like put myself in a pigeonhole. And that's something that's really good in many ways because it's an easy story to tell. People are like, oh, that's the girl who builds shitty robots. And then as soon as you kind of broaden and make your messaging a little bit more complex, it's like, yeah, it's a tricky transition to make, but I feel like, I don't know, I just have the best people following me and who are super understanding and always like, I think most people who do work in hardware or electronics or robotics, they understand that like these things are hard to do and that there's thought and time that goes into it. And like making something shitty is surprisingly hard.
So again, getting back to that first video, like how many takes does something like that take?
The breakfast machine, I think I did 20 takes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is there's an art to getting shittiness just as shitty as you want it to shitty.
No, totally.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
There's a lot of thought that goes into it.
So it must be life affirming then, or it must be sort of like affirming of this project that you've been doing when somebody like Wetaworks reaches out to you.
What a workshop?
Yeah, Weta Workshop, and the New Zealand special effects crew that did like Lord of the Rings, this like huge, I think we had they were involved in Gemini Man, we had Will Smith on stage earlier this week. When somebody like that approaches you, it must feel pretty good. It must feel like you're on the right track.
I mean, it's mostly, it's just fun. I mean, I just want to explore and do things and find the context in which I'm most comfortable and like on what scale you want to work. Because it's kind of when you're doing YouTube, it's like, oh, either you could stick with like just being yourself in your living room, or you could, like as you grow, you could expand and have a bunch of people, have like this whole studio that you're working in. And there are people who run YouTube channels and they have like 100 employees, which is just crazy. So it's all just about finding the level on which you're most comfortable and where you feel at your best. But it's really fun to have companies that I respect and that I look up to want to work with me, like Weta Workshop. But then you're also like, because they're like, what do you want to do? What do you want to build? We can do anything. And it's still hard to, I feel like people are more down with doing silly stuff than they were in the beginning. I used to work at an electronics company, and I remember my job was to just find different fun ways or fun things to build with their product. And I remember that I wanted to build a popcorn catapult, and one of the engineers was like, but why? And I was like, okay, maybe not then. And I still get that, I just get nervous pitching these ridiculous ideas. But with Weta Workshop, who make props, movie props. And
they said we can make you anything you want to do. Anything.
And I want it to be a mantis shrimp.
All right, let's roll video number 2.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they asked you and you kind of panicked a little bit.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it was too intimidating, and I just wanted to, so this is me on a beach in New Zealand dancing in a mantis shrimp costume that we made. But they were super good about it. I mean, also, like, people who are in the movie industry are accustomed to weirdness more than other ones, maybe. So, yeah.
Is this something, not business managed shrimp necessarily, but is this kind of this costume world something that you're interested in pursuing further?
I mean, it's not where I'm going for. It's fun, and it's like kind of, I just want to use the platforms that I have as an excuse to explore these different topics that I'm really interested in. And that's really it. It all just becomes this excuse to spend time on things, and also to kind of use it as a way to explore and do stuff that you want to do. And I mean, this was really one of the best examples of that, because ever since growing up, I wanted to make things and actually like be a real inventor of actual things. And I had this YouTube channel and these platforms, and I was like, oh, I can actually do that now and have a little bit of a lead, because I have a lot of people already looking and being interested in what I'm doing. But it was really hard to be like, okay, so I'm known for doing silly things and shitty robots and all of these and like really lighthearted YouTube content, and now I want to do this product that is something that takes itself so seriously, and it was just so hard to mesh those messages.
Do you feel like you're at sort of a crossroads now? Are you at a point where you're kind of making a sort of a transition into the next phase of your career, that being product design?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly, it's hard only doing YouTube. I think I would go crazy if all I did was social media, because I think we all feel the toll that social media is taking on us and on our well-being. And being somebody who's like, I think honestly, if I didn't work with social media, I would have deleted my Instagram by now, because it just makes you feel like shit. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, am I a part of that? And am I making other people feel bad? Or, it's just like, there's just this something where I'm like, I can't do only this. I need other stuff to do. And also business-wise, like, you need to have more legs to stand on, because who knows? Like, the environment of social media or of YouTube or of Patreon, which are all these like cores in our business, or in the business that I'm currently running, like anything can change. And it's really, it can change on such a short
Yep.
notice, and they might just like change the algorithm and suddenly it fucks up your entire business. So I just want to make sure to diversify and put all of my eggs in more baskets, and doing products is like, that's something I can like imagine doing until I'm 80 years old.
So as of this morning, when I checked, you have 1.93 million YouTube subscribers. How has that platform been as far as kind of getting out there and getting your brand out in front of people?
It's been good. Like it's great. I'm so grateful for the opportunities it's given me. And also like we ran a Kickstarter campaign for this, and it's really like any eyes you can get helps on your product. So, and people were just very, I mean, it's also just people are curious about what it's like to manufacture a product and what it is to go through developing a hardware product. So it actually like meshed really nicely. And I think that's something you see a lot on YouTube, is people becoming increasingly entrepreneurial and have run these big companies that are kind of playing with YouTube or playing nice with YouTube. And there's a lot of synergies, to use the TechCrunch word.
We didn't invent it, but if you ever need to disrupt anything, you come to us.
Okay. To disrupt the social media platform
That's
and
right.
find other businesses that have a lot of synergies in it. So, yeah, it just, I mean, it helped. It definitely gave a kick to our Kickstarter campaign.
So you feel that, again, as you're kind of transitioning to this world of product design, and you're hoping that people are taking you seriously in that world, are these two parts that can operate concurrently? I mean, can you continue to be the YouTube shitty robot person and be in charge of a design firm?
I think so. It's working out so far. And this was like, I mean, in some way, this is one of the products that I can do that was the biggest, like the most stark contrast to what I was doing otherwise. So this is a calendar for tracking your habits, and I still do not know how to talk about this without sounding like a motivational poster. But it's kind of like this gold star system. And I built the first version because I wanted to meditate every day. And I was just always making these little grids and notebooks and crossing out boxes. And I was thinking, oh, could I make something that I could hang on my wall and that actually looks pretty and that feels like a little treat, that has like a more fun action than crossing out a box. So every time when I meditate, I get to do that. So I don't know if you can see, but these LEDs are lit up. So today is October 4th. So when I meditate, I just get to tap that day, and that's it. And it was super hard to talk about this because I'm like, oh, I do shitty robots and I cuss a lot, and suddenly you have something like this. This is just so serious, and it's about self-improvement, and it was hard to kind of mesh those two. But people are so good, and they understand that you're a person with a wider spectrum of capabilities or of thoughts than maybe you see in your YouTube videos.
So walk me through that process a little bit. How do you go from the workshop? I assume that from a certain standpoint, this kind of starts off in a similar way to other things. You're working on this alone. So how do you make the transition into actually, creating a product for people in the world to use?
I mean, it's so because usually when I make projects for a video, I only make one prototype. Like I just make one, and that's like my favorite part of the process is making the initial prototypes. But then prototyping for manufacturing is, I mean, it's like they're not even cousins. Like they're so unrelated. Just how different of a process it was. So I put together a team to kind of go through this, but we, did it all through Kickstarter, who should, by the way, totally acknowledge the unionization effort. Yeah, thank you.
John agrees with you.
Yeah.
How was the Kickstarter process? I assume it's good from the standpoint of, really kind of being able to gauge the temperature, being able to really kind of understand what people are interested in, getting that instantaneous feedback.
The
Kickstarter project, how was that as a tool for launching the product?
It was great. I mean, it was really the way to go for us, I think. Because we could have raised capital and stuff like that, but it's also, I mean, I just wanted to test and see if people were interested in it, and it's such a good way of doing that and just testing the market. And then we're obviously, I mean, the long game is hoping to be able to launch outside of that.
So this product is something that is going to hopefully continue to exist beyond that initial round.
Yeah, it's what we're working towards. I mean, Kickstarters, it's like, I mean, I think ours is break even, which is fairly remarkable, surprisingly enough, for a Kickstarter. But it's definitely, I mean, I want to keep on selling it outside and to have it exist in the world without my face necessarily. So not just spam my followers about it, but kind of go outside and sell it to other people.
I get the feeling that this took on a little bit of a different meaning. I mean, I know you've had some health struggles over the past couple of years. So this idea of having this sort of like daily thing that you go back to, this daily reminder, it took on a little more gravity, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I had brain surgery last year and found out that I had a brain tumor, and this definitely had a long way to recovery, but I'm doing okay. And it's like going through something of that just really helps reinsure how important it is to take care of yourself and anything you can do to help. And I was really grateful going through that for the time that I spent taking care of my body and trying to support it and what it wants, or just, yeah, trying to eat well and exercise and sleep. And going through something like that, I felt like I got to reap some of the benefits of that. And it's just like, it's so important. I think we all go through the world thinking that it wouldn't happen to us. And then suddenly it does. And then you just got to make sure you have a good relationship to your body.
Did that make it even more important to get this out there? Did you focus on this even more as you were going through that?
I mean, more so, it was just such a good break point for me and kind of reconsidering everything that I was doing, because I love making silly things and I love making shitty robots and all of that, but it's also, you're like, oh, I also want to do other things. So it kind of just, you just reconsider and you're like, oh, I have all these things I want to do, and pushed me in my commitment, like, oh, I've always dreamt about having a product design company. Of course I should do that. Like, I shouldn't wait with doing that.
Are you at a point now where you're thinking about the next product?
I've forbidden myself from thinking about more products until we ship these out to backers. So we're still fulfilling our Kickstarter orders or our Kickstarter backers, and I'm just like, I can't think of other things until we take in this over the line. So, but yes, of course, it's hard not to.
Is there any like big lesson that you've learned in creating this, you know, again, from making that transition in a product that you would like to like impart on people? Any mistake that you made that perhaps you would like to send up a flag on?
It's just transparency is the way to go. I think, yeah, in communication with everybody and with backers, it's like we're not trying to make it seem like we're something that we're not, or that we're at a place that we're not. And there's definitely been times where we're like, oh, how do we, like, this just happened, how do we communicate this? And I've just always been like, I just want to be honest with people. And I think that even though that's sometimes the harder thing to say, it definitely makes for the better relationship and just feel better about yourself as well.
Would you do crowdfunding again for a future project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we've got one final video to show you. And as most people I think are aware, there's a Tesla truck coming. We expect it to be announced probably towards the end of this year. I think timeline maybe like.
I think it got pushed back to November.
Okay.
Yeah.
2020 or 2020, probably 2021. I think is probably about when this thing is actually going to come to market. But you couldn't wait. So let's roll video number 3.
Yeah.
It's here. The truck the world didn't know it was waiting for. It's the dawn of a new beginning. Some trucks rely on roads already paved. Some choose to pave their own. Push past convention. Empower yourself beyond what's possible. And if the thing you want doesn't exist yet, you step up and make your own.
So that's kind of the big takeaway here, right? If the thing that if the thing you want doesn't exist in the world, go ahead and make it yourself.
You make your own, and you put an angle grinder to it, which is one of the most painful moments of my life. Yeah.
How long did this project take?
I mean, a year to plan. We had an idea for this for a year, and but the building to get it to this point, it's still not done. Like we're still working on it, on weatherproofing it, but to get it to this point was probably a month and some change of work. with a bunch of people. Like it's probably the biggest project I've ever taken on.
Do you think your projects are just going to continue to keep getting bigger as you go on?
I mean, just to some extent, but you gotta do all the big stuff and the small stuff. It's a combination. But this was, yeah, definitely a more ambitious one. Oh, thank you.
Simone, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.